All right, so today we're going to be diving into something pretty cool. We're talking drone delivery,
Okay.
but not the usual, like, pizza to your doorstep kind of thing. We're looking at Zipline.
Right.
This company wants to make ordering anything as easy as clicking a link. And they're already making big moves.
Yeah, what's really interesting about Zipline is that they're not just building drones.
Okay.
They're trying to build a whole new system for logistics, which is a huge thing to take on.
Okay, so they're not just trying to, like, drop drones into how things work now. They actually want to change the whole system.
Exactly.
That's ambitious. And they're not exactly newbies at this whole drone thing. They started with those medical deliveries in Rwanda, right?
Right.
Serving thousands of people.
Right.
And now they've partnered up with Walmart in Dallas, talking about serving millions of customers. Can they actually pull that off? What do you think?
It's definitely a big step. But their focus has always been on the whole system,
Okay.
not just making a cool drone. And they've already flown over 80 million miles autonomously.
Yeah.
And not just those small medical deliveries either.
Yeah.
They've been developing the technology and infrastructure for this kind of scale for a while now.
80 million miles. That's not just a proof of concept. That's serious testing.
Exactly.
Speaking of their tech, I was watching one of their videos the other day, and it's full of these futuristic terms, zips, droids, docking stations. It's all very Jetsons.
Yeah, they're definitely leaning into that whole future is now vibe.
Yeah.
And playing on that desire for things to be in their announcement. They even had a Walmart customer saying it will feel like teleportation.
Okay. But teleportation aside, what does Platform 2 actually mean for, like, getting my groceries? What's the practical side?
So Platform 2 is all about making a system as reliable and efficient as the internet, but for physical delivery. Think autonomous drones called Zips that can travel long distances and handle different weather conditions.
Okay.
Then you've got droids, which are released from the Zips to make that final precise delivery, gently lowering packages right to your doorstep.
So the zips are like the long-haul trucks, and the droids are the delivery drivers, but without the actual drivers, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And this whole setup is what they're calling Platform 2.
Exactly. That's a lot riding on it.
That's a lot riding on it.
And they're putting a lot into making sure it actually works. Testing in extreme temperatures, running tons of simulations to catch any problems before they happen. It's not just about speed with this system. It's about being reliable and scalable.
Okay, so it's less about winning a race and more about building a system that actually works long-term.
Exactly. And they're thinking about the everyday practical stuff, too. Remember that video you mentioned? They highlight how quiet the droids are compared to those delivery trucks.
Oh, yeah. They had that side-by-side comparison, which is really smart. I mean, who wants to live on a street that sounds like an airport runway with all these delivery drones constantly flying around?
Exactly. They're trying to be a good neighbor, not just a fast one. It's not just about disrupting delivery. It's about actually improving daily life.
Interesting. So they're thinking about the bigger picture, the long-term impact, not just the immediate wow factor.
Right. And speaking of long-term, they're also really pushing the fact that these drones are made in the U.S.
Yeah, they mentioned that in their announcement. That's going to be a big part of their strategy, but how does it all fit in?
Well, it's strategic on several levels. First, it gives them more control over their supply chain and the quality of what they're making, which is super important with tech this complex.
Right.
Second, it plays into that whole made in America idea. Creating jobs here, boosting the economy, which definitely appeals to a lot of people.
For sure.
And third, it could give them a leg up when it comes to logistics and regulations compared to companies making things overseas.
So it's not just about where the drones are made, it's about the whole system they're building around them, almost like a whole new industry.
Exactly. And that's what makes Zipline so interesting. They're not just trying to be the best at drone delivery. They're trying to redefine the whole game.
We've been digging into the tech behind Zipline's drone delivery system, but their ambitions go way beyond just cool drones, right? It's about building a whole new infrastructure for how we move stuff around.
Exactly. And that's where their recent announcement of Platform 2 comes in. It's not just a catchy name. It signals a shift toward a more comprehensive and scalable system.
Okay, so less about individual drones and more about the whole ecosystem. Break that down for me. What makes Platform 2 different?
Platform 2 is designed to be the foundation for a future where drone delivery isn't a novelty, it's as ubiquitous as the internet. They're talking about a 100-fold increase in delivery demand over the next decade, To handle that kind of volume, you need a robust integrated system.
100 times what we see now. That's a mind-boggling prediction. I mean, I order a lot of stuff online, but that's a whole other level.
It speaks to a larger trend we're seeing across industries, the expectation of instant access and on-demand services. Zipline is betting that this trend will only accelerate, and they're building the infrastructure to support it.
So while other companies are focused on delivering your takeout tonight, Zipline's playing the long game, aiming for a future where drone delivery is as commonplace as ordering a ride on your phone. But is that even feasible? We're talking about a massive overhaul of how logistics work.
It's undoubtedly ambitious, but Zipline's approach has always been about tackling complex challenges head-on. Remember their work in Rwanda. They didn't just launch a few drones, they built an entire delivery network in a challenging environment.
That's true. They've got real-world experience in a sector where others are still in the pilot phase. But scaling from serving thousands in Rwanda to potentially millions in a place like Dallas, that's a whole other ballgame.
Absolutely, and that's why Platform 2 is designed with scalability in mind. It's not just about more drones, it's about intelligent routing, efficient air traffic management, and seamless integration with existing infrastructure.
So it's almost like they're building their own air traffic control system specifically for deliveries. It sounds incredibly complex.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And to manage that complexity, they're investing heavily in automation and software. Think self-optimizing flight paths, predictive maintenance, and real-time data analysis.
It's starting to sound less like a delivery service and more like a software company with drones. What does that mean for their manufacturing strategy? We know they've emphasized US-based production, but how does that fit into this bigger picture of a global software-driven platform?
That's a great question, because it gets to the heart of their competitive advantage. By keeping manufacturing domestic, Zipline maintains tighter control over their supply chain and can iterate on their hardware designs more rapidly.
So it's about agility and responsiveness, being able to adapt quickly to changing demands or technological advancements.
Precisely. And it allows them to incorporate lessons learned from real-world deployments, like those in Rwanda, directly into their manufacturing processes. It's a closed-loop system that fosters innovation.
Okay, so they've got the technology, the vision, and the manufacturing capabilities. But let's talk about the competition. Our snippet raises a valid concern. Amazon is a behemoth in the delivery space, and they've got their own drone ambitions.
Yep.
How does Zipline plan to compete with a giant like that?
That's where Zipline's broader vision comes into play. They're not just trying to win the last-mile delivery game. They're looking at the bigger picture of how goods and services will be transported in the future.
So it's less about competing head-to-head with Amazon and more about creating a new category altogether.
Exactly. Zipline is betting on a future where the demand for instant on-demand delivery extends far beyond just consumer goods. They're talking about medical supplies, emergency response, even connecting remote communities in ways we haven't even imagined yet.
So they're envisioning a world where drones aren't just delivering packages, but are an essential part of our infrastructure, like roads and bridges, but in the sky.
Precisely. And that's a vision with the potential to disrupt not just the delivery industry, but also healthcare logistics and even urban planning.
Okay, so they're swinging for the fences, aiming for a future where drones aren't just a convenience, but a fundamental part of how our world works. But can they really pull it off?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They've certainly got a bold vision, a solid track record of the technological chops to back it up.
It's clear they're not just throwing drones at a problem and hoping for the best. They've put a lot of thought into the long game.
And that long-term thinking is evident in their focus on sustainability. Their drones are entirely electric, which aligns with growing concerns about climate change and the environmental impact of traditional delivery methods.
That's a crucial point. As we become increasingly reliant on delivery services, we need to consider their environmental footprint. Zipline seems to be addressing that head-on.
Absolutely. And they're going beyond just reducing their own emissions. They're also exploring how their technology can be used to support other sustainability initiatives, like reforestation efforts and disaster relief.
So they're not just talking the talk, they're actively looking for ways to make a positive impact.
Exactly. And it speaks to their commitment to social responsibility, which is another key pillar of their brand identity.
And that ties into their work in Rwanda, right? Delivering essential medical supplies to remote areas that are difficult to reach by traditional means.
Precisely. Their work in Africa is a testament to their belief that technology should be a force for good. And it's a compelling example of how drones can be used to address real-world problems.
It's a powerful narrative, and it certainly sets them apart from some of the more commercially focused players in the drone delivery space. But Let's be realistic. Even with a compelling vision and innovative technology, there are bound to be challenges along the way. What are some of the hurdles they'll need to overcome to make this vision a reality?
That's a great question, and I think it's important to acknowledge that no technological advancement comes without its share of challenges.
For sure. So, what are some of the potential roadblocks they might encounter?
One of the biggest challenges will be navigating the complex web of regulations surrounding drone operations. Different countries, and even different regions within those countries, have varying rules and regulations governing the use of drones in commercial airspace.
Right, it's not like they can just launch a fleet of drones and start delivering packages willy-nilly. They'll need to secure regulatory approvals every step of the way.
Exactly. And securing those approvals can be a lengthy and complex process, often involving multiple government agencies and stakeholders.
So it's not just about building the technology, it's also about building relationships with regulators and ensuring compliance with local laws. That sounds like a significant undertaking in itself.
It definitely adds another layer of complexity,
Yeah.
but it's essential for ensuring the safe and responsible integration of drones into our airspace.
Absolutely. So regulatory hurdles are one challenge. What else?
Public perception is another significant factor. While drones are becoming more commonplace, there's still a degree of apprehension among some segments of the population about having these unmanned aerial vehicles flying overhead.
Yeah, I can see that. People are generally wary of new technologies, especially when they literally fly over your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Addressing those concerns and building public trust will be crucial for the widespread adoption of drone delivery.
So they'll need to focus on transparency, education, and community engagement to ensure that people feel comfortable with drones as part of their daily lives.
Precisely. And it's not just about convincing the public. They'll also need to address concerns from existing stakeholders, such as postal workers and delivery drivers, who might see this technology as a threat to their livelihoods.
That's a valid point. We've seen similar anxieties arise with the advent of automation in other industries. Addressing those concerns and finding ways to ensure a just transition will be essential.
Absolutely. It's about finding ways to leverage this technology to create new opportunities, not just displace existing jobs.
So, in addition to the technological and regulatory challenges, Zipline will also need to navigate the human side of innovation, addressing concerns about job security, privacy, and public safety.
Exactly. And that requires a thoughtful and compassionate approach, one that prioritizes open communication and collaboration.
It's clear that building the future of delivery involves much more than just drones and software. It requires navigating a complex web of social, economic, and ethical considerations.
Precisely. And it's a conversation that we as a society need to be actively engaged in as this technology continues to evolve.
We've been unpacking Zipline's vision for the future of delivery, and it's huge. But they dropped this one claim that really stuck with me. They said that in 10 years, we'll all think 2-hour delivery is insanely slow. What do you make of that?
It's a bold statement, no doubt. And whether or not Zipline is the company that makes it happen, they're tapping into something significant.
Hmm?
Our shifting expectations. We're already seeing it in so many areas of life. Instant information, on-demand entertainment, same-day services. Is it that far-fetched to think physical things will be held to the same standard?
It's funny, 10 years ago, if you told me I'd be ordering groceries on my phone and having them show up an hour later, I'd have been skeptical. Now it's just Tuesday, so maybe they're onto something. But it's not just about speed, is it? It's about what that speed enables.
Exactly. This isn't just about getting your coffee fix faster. Zipline is talking about a world where distance becomes almost irrelevant, where essential services can reach anyone, anywhere in minutes. Think about the implications for healthcare, for disaster relief, for bridging the gap between urban centers and remote communities.
Okay, now I'm getting chills. That's a powerful vision. But also makes me wonder what happens to the things we value now. Local businesses, face-to-face interactions, even just the simple pleasure of a leisurely walk to the store. Does this hyper-efficient future come at a cost?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And
Right.
it's one we all need to be asking ourselves as these technologies evolve. Because here's the thing, the future isn't predetermined. It's shaped by the choices we make today.
So what can we do as individuals, as a society? How do we navigate this? It feels like we're on the cusp of something huge and a little bit daunting, to be honest.
Knowledge is always the best starting point. And that's what makes these deep dives so valuable. By understanding the potential benefits, indeed the challenges, we can start making informed choices about the future we want to create.
So it's not just about passively observing, it's about actively shaping the future.
Precisely. Ask questions, engage in thoughtful discussions, support companies and initiatives that align with your values.
Because this isn't just Zipline's story, it's everyone's story. It's about how we want to live, work, and connect in a world increasingly shaped by technology. So, as you go about your day, maybe ordering takeout or waiting for a package, take a moment to consider, what if getting anything was as easy as using the internet? Is that a future you're excited about, or one that makes you a little uneasy? And most importantly, what role do you want to play in shaping it? That's something to ponder and maybe even discuss with a friend over that takeout you just ordered. This has been a fascinating deep dive, and it's certainly given us all a lot to think about.